Hey guys, so it's finally time to talk about both of our best friends. So I'm gonna reference this a ton of times during this video, but this was sort of a transitional era for Sony and Nintendo because smartphones were becoming a really big deal and the app stores and stuff, so both of these companies had to try and improvise. Sony decided that it would be a good idea to just focus on digital games, and Nintendo decided to upgrade their software so that it was more modern, user-friendly. Now for the sales of both of these consoles, it's gonna be sort of hard to determine it for the PSP Go because Sony didn't feel comfortable telling us the numbers. Around the end of its lifespan in 2011, it was reported that in Japan, only 14 were sold in a week. Like 14, not 14,000, 14. So yeah, this thing was not doing well. Now that doesn't mean that it sold like 10 or 20 for its entire lifespan. In my best guesstimation, remember this is just a guess, is it an educational guess? Maybe not, maybe it's just a stupid one. I would have to say it's around 1 million to 2 million, and the reason is similar to what happens in the movie industry. On the first few weeks, the box office is crazy and then it just starts to decline, just to be on the safe side. Now we do have a number for the DSi and it is 28 million. The reason that the numbers are so far apart is mainly the same reason that the numbers were far apart for the PS4 and the Wii U. People just found a bigger reason to have a PS4 than a Wii U. I'm also not going to list my favorite games for both of these systems because they're both still a DS and PSP, so because I've already said it in another video, there's no point to extend this video just to say the same stuff, so yeah. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Shitty rhyme. Of course, the only reason that the PSP Go was created was because of the size. It was also because Sony wanted to focus more on digital games, which wasn't really a good choice, especially for previous PSP owners. And out of this design, we do get a cool slide-up control area. Not just is it portable, but I think it's very convenient for when there's cutscenes and you can just slide it down and just watch it, and hold it like a little tiny phone watching a video. Like I said before in the PSP versus DS video, I have to compliment the OS. I like that it has the PS3 vibe. It's a good thing that they didn't change it yet. And even the battery life is good. Even though it does look small, it actually does have like really good battery. But nowadays, the PSP Go does have a really good purpose. For those people that want to get free games, they want to play NES games, SNES games, this is the perfect way to start. It is very simple to hack this and to get all that stuff. In fact, if you're gonna get one on eBay, some even sell it already hacked because of how easy it is. So yeah, and clearly that's a really big plus. And you can even get some custom-made games like Half-Life. I'm not joking. I'm playing Half-Life right now on this. And also there's Minecraft. For Nintendo, the DS and the DS Lite had pretty primitive software, and Nintendo finally updated it with the DSi, and they added a ton of other features too. Like for example, there's a front and back camera. Now clearly, just like I said before with the 3DS versus PS Vita video, this camera is not gonna be, you know, like awesome like you would see on an iPod Touch. This is mostly just to play around with stuff. Hey, look over there, it says Switch. Oh my god. Today that camera doesn't really seem that useful and impressive, but back in the day, Jesus Christ. Like, people wanted a DSi because it had the camera. At least one of the reasons why. Oh yeah, and also, if there's anyone that called filters, it was not Facebook or Snapchat, it was fucking Nintendo. There's also a recording app, which, once again, it was just for fun. Like, it didn't really have a big purpose, just to change your voice. And there's also Flip Notes, which was really fun to play with. Of course, you can still play your physical DS games, but Nintendo did take away the ability to play Game Boy Advance games. Although the PSP Go seems like an amazing deal so far, like I said earlier, the reason that it failed was just because you can't play physical PSP games, and for a lot of gamers, that was disappointing. Now, other than that, on some games I've noticed that the frames, you know, tend to drop, like in Vice City, and even in emulators sometimes. Surprisingly, Half-Life is just okay, but that's probably because it loads just a room and not the entire, like, map, if you've noticed when it says loading. Also, it does not use a micro SD card, it uses its own weird thingamabob, just like the PS Vita. I think for a few people for the DSi, like I said before, it probably has to be the removal of the Game Boy cartridge. Unless Nintendo needed that extra space for whatever, there was really no point to remove it. I can see why for the 3DS, because there's more technology that has to be like put into it, but the DSi doesn't really have that many. Really, what's the point of getting a DSi if you have a DS Lite? The only thing you get is the camera, the sound, flip notes, and the ability to go online. And there are no free apps, everything you still have to pay for. But let me just say, I'm not saying that both of these things suck, this is just the issues, or the potential issues. Overall, they are amazing systems. The updates made to both of these guys, although now seem really odd because of how much technology has changed, really were something for the time. Although Sony hasn't really had the best of luck with selling portable systems, the PSP Go did have a very interesting concept. And luckily for Sony, the PSP Go sort of became a Dreamcast. Even though it didn't sell well, it's still a good system, especially for people who like to hack. And for Nintendo, this was sort of a huge success for them. But just like I said before with the PS Vita and 3DS, they were going up against smartphones, tablets, and devices like iPods. And this is why Nintendo and Sony both had to make something that would appeal more to people. So of course it seems logical to add a camera, to add an app store, and add all sorts of cool features. And for Sony, I have to applaud them for trying something new. Even though it wasn't a huge success, at least it's not considered the worst console of all time, and it's still being used till this day. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.